Okay, so it must be bread on the table. Okay. Dwayne, here's a question that can possibly be answered on stream. Do you feel that Waka Spirit Blade was a bad investment for someone new to the game? Considering the resources it took to acquire them, did you invest in it? If so, how many copies did you acquire? Okay, so it's an easy question, my dude. I didn't get any. I tried to, and
I was saying the first part.
What's that?
Oh, I thought you were answering the first part of the question.
Yeah, the first part. I definitely will try to answer the whole thing, but the easy part is I didn't get any copies, and I tried to get copies, but I couldn't. It sold out real fast on Splinterlands. It sold out real, and I didn't try on Wax because I don't mess around with Wax. I don't know how to, and I don't have time to figure that out, to be honest. Do you feel it was a bad investment? Let me look at the price right now, because I know that it was.
Oh, they said specifically for new players.
Yeah.
Yes. Do not buy Waka if you are a new player.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're a new player who's trying to get right into Diamond, which is possible. Yeah, I mean, like this is a lot of money. I mean, but it's a max level summoner, and even for a max level summoner, it's a lot of money. This card is interesting from several levels. One, it's interesting because it's a max level summoner, and you need to have those if you're playing at a higher level in the game. Two, I think poison is a great ability. And three, it's collectible. That's maybe the biggest kind of, that might not be important to you at all. And it isn't largely important to me. So that's why I haven't rushed out and bought a copy, even though I could right now. I could just buy this one. I wanted to get it through Splinterlands, and I would have spent, I think it was $1,700 if I remember correctly at the time, for the amount of SPS I had to spend and the vouchers I would have needed. But I knew, or I felt very confident that I would be able to sell it back for that price or more in the opening hours. And I also knew that if I got lucky and I got a gold foil, it would be worth way more than $1,700. And so from that perspective, it was an excellent investment, even for brand new players, if that was your view. If your play was literally short it, like buy it and sell it back on the market. If you get that regular foil, you're probably going to break even, or maybe most of my friends that got one made a couple $100 on it by buying it from Splinterlands and then liquidating it. And then if you had happened to get a gold foil, I know these sold for, I mean, they sold for like they've been selling for 10 grand. I can tell you based on that market, that data right there, somebody sold one for 10 grand and they bought it for $1,700. And so it was like, as far as I was concerned, a lottery ticket, and it was worth trying my hand at. Plus I was interested in seeing how deadly that poison ability would have been. Now that I've seen it in play, I'm willing to say that it's not super deadly. It's fine, but it's not super deadly. Jim, do you have thoughts on how important Waka is or isn't? And then maybe the price and whether it was just like, just anything about that.
So I think poison itself is a very strong ability, but now when we start thinking about damage over time effects, you have to be able to be a bit more defensive or be, also evasive in order for that poison to be ticking in.
Yeah.
And that's at the 50% mark as well. Or that's without the 50% mark as well, right? So now you have to hope that you get the poison on that creature. And because it's like, okay, I can either utilize poison, or I can get the same damage increase of just being like +1 melee.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is reliable and consistent.
Exactly.
It's not a 50-50 RNG, right?
Yeah. I think poison with other stuff would have been phenomenal, right? If they were like poison and speed and like an armor or something like that, it would have made it a lot better. But with it just being poison, you're not providing your team with like any other stats like the other summoners are
Mm-hmm.
for it to be as good, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just don't think Waka is great.
Yeah, I hear you. And we've seen some solutions to the Waka play where you use a taunt and then you just bring the cleanse with you, and so even if he gets the poison off, you're often gonna at least some of the time you will cleanse it away, and it depends on how many times you're struck, but it's a good and simple response. But I still think it's a fine card. The cornerstone of what I would point to for this card's value is its collectability, because again, there was only 1,000 copies, I think, total. 500 issued on Splinterlands or on Steam or on Hive rather, and 500 on Wax.
So that's kind of correct.
Is it not?
At most, there was 1,000, but they recently came out with a post saying that they are moving all of the Wakas from Wax back into the Splinterlands client, and whatever doesn't sell by April 5th, everything else gets burned.
Wow, that's a big deal. So
Yeah.
I still don't really care to get one for this price point, Alec, but that's an interesting consideration for someone who, if you like this card and if you were playing at Diamond and if you already had a really good deck and Death was one of your strong teams, and you know what I mean? Like, you could build an argument why you might want something like this, particularly in light of the fact that there's at least a possibility that some of the existing supply might be erased. That's always a good thing from a from a price analysis basis. If the supply shrinks, that's a good thing for the owners of the card. And I'm not saying I would buy it, and I am maybe one of the target audience because I have a high level deck and I like Death, but I'm not interested, and I'm glad I didn't buy it. And if I was gonna buy it, it would have been solely for those reasons I outlined, that early flip with the hope that I got that lottery ticket gold foil. That was the play. And otherwise, I was curious about it, but I certainly didn't want, I wouldn't have, I'm not buying it for this much. Thanks for the question, Alec.
I have the post right here. It was an official announcement. The remaining Waka NFTs will be sold in game. It will also be 1,500 USD regular foil, 7,000 USD gold foil, and it's going to be sold in DEC/credits. Then it states the sale will run from noon Eastern, March 25th to noon Eastern, April 5th. So as soon as like noon 01 happens, all remaining cards will be burned.
So what was the price point again, Jim?
$1,500. Did I say 1,000?
Yeah, I think you did, but okay. So this is like, and I don't know the answer to this, but how many were unsold so far?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but I can pull that up if you just give me.
If you're able to find that, I'd love to know, because me hearing $1,500 and me hearing that it's going to be available here on Hive and tomorrow, and I'm sitting on $2,500 DEC, and I could imagine making that play again for the same reasons I just previously said, where not that I would expect it to be able to flip it necessarily for more, but if I bought it for $1,500 and I took a $100 L on it because it was a regular foil, I'm willing to take that chance for a possibility that I drop a gold foil. Maybe I would think about that. If there are any gold foils left is the question. Jim, while you're thinking about that, I'm going to have a peek. I want to have a peek at the chat. So take your time, Jim.
Real quick, for gold foil, it looks like there have only been 17 sold on the Wax. Wow. And there was, 40, I think?
No, I think
40
if I recall correctly, there was 20 on Wax and 20 on Hive. So 40 total gold foils, if I recall correctly.
So there are 7 gold foils remaining on Wax right now.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I might be able to convince myself if that happened. So I'm going to think about that. Chuni wants to know about the validator node licenses. Oh, I want to comment on that. I don't know enough about it though, Chun. And I see you're asking Jim. Maybe he does, but he's searching something. Maybe Jim, if you know anything about that, let Chuni know afterwards. Good night, y'all. Good night. Rotten one.
And it looks like only 19 regular have been sold on Wax.
19 regular, and you said, but lots of gold foils had been sold.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of luck happening there. Wow. Because you said I think there was only 7 gold foils left on Wax.
So how they did it on Wax, it wasn't like you would open a pack. It was, if you bought it on Wax, it was $7,000.
Oh, so you just bought a gold foil. Okay.
Yeah.
But now on Hive, is the plan to make them a pack that you open?
No. So now they're swapping it to where 1,500 for the regular, 7,000 for the gold foil.
Okay, I got you now. Thank you for
PEC or credits.
Thank you for helping me understand that. Okay, so that no, I'm not interested anymore for that calculation. Cool.
Yep.